this film is fucking insane. Oh my god. What is it we're watching here? This is... Bugonia is the latest Oscar contender and feature film from director Yorgos Lanthimos, helmed from a script written by Will Tracy and starring Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Aidan, Delbis. This film centers on two men who attempt to kidnap a powerful CEO, believing that she is the leader of an alien invasion, and their subsequent attempts to stop it. The film is based on a Korean black comedy called Save the Green Planet, although as I can understand it, I think that it is somewhat loosely based rather than a direct tie-in and a direct remake of what happened in that film. Now, this is the third feature film from Yorgos Lanthimos over the past 3 years. He first had Poor Things, then he did Kinds of Kindness last year. I absolutely adore Poor Things. I think Emma Stone is absolutely incredible with that film. I think with that film, she really established herself as the leading woman, the leading star in the Oscar sphere, in the die-hard enthusiastic film sphere. I think she is personally, on the back of that film, heads and shoulders above the rest of her contemporaries, both actresses and a lot of actors as well. With this film, she is pretty much just as good. She brings a similar physicality to her performance, although I will say it is quite markedly different from what she does in Poor Things. In this film, there is a lot more about her being in peak physical condition and what that means for her job, how she uses that to intimidate the men that capture her, and how ultimately she can come across as almost alien-like and almost inhuman just through her appearance, puts herself in such peak physical condition that it almost serves as a commentary of, are humans meant to look like this? Are they meant to have, a bit of fat around their chin? I think what is so important and what we should talk about with Emma Stone in this film is the fact that she has basically never done a pure villain role. She did Cruella, obviously a prequel to 101 Dalmatians, but in that film, that is much more of an origin story and essentially giving her some sort of empathy and sympathy for why she became the villain. In this, she is kind of out and out unlikable. Again, she's not directly a villain. I wouldn't say that there's anyone in this other than Aidan Delbis who is an innocent, but she is directly unlikable and she is almost inhuman, as I says, both in her actions and her appearance. And her actions in this film sort of position her as being utterly persuasive and convincing and manipulative. And the film presents that as, is this a result of her position as a member of corporate America, or is this a result of her possibly being an alien? That is a question for the audience themselves. That is a question that each individual will have to watch this film and will have to come to a conclusion on whether the desire or the nature of being mean and being rude and essentially being a villain come from a otherworldliness, or whether it comes from this extension of human nature into corporate America. Do you think Emma Stone plays that duality excellently? Put her in anything and she will flip and she will change and she will gravitate and she will bend and be flexible enough to fit into the role that you develop for her. She is 36 and is just now deciding, you know what, I'm going to be a villain. I'm going to be the evil, rude, villainous corporate CEO because I can do that, and I'm going to prove to you that I can do that. Don't lock me into Poor Things. Don't lock me into Cruella, La La Land, so on and so forth. And her career has taken such an incredible trajectory, and I absolutely adore what she has done with it. She is the leading actress in America, in Hollywood, and I would say right now worldwide. Jesse Plemons, this is probably his career best performance thus far. He is a great actor who has done a lot of work essentially on that sort of like B tier, where if you're a casual film fan, you will probably have seen him in 2 or 3 things and go, I recognize that guy. Where do I know him from? And for a lot of those casual people, it will invariably be in Breaking Bad, or it will be Antlers, or it will be Civil War, or it will be Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, over the past few years, I feel like he's been starting to gain a bit more notoriety just because of the public nature of his marriage to Kirsten Dunst and also his work with high-profile auteurs, Yorgos Lanthimos, Martin Scorsese. With this film, there is essentially an innocence and a desire to save someone close to him that drives his performance, but also an inability to move on from something that is probably a lost cause because he wants to maintain hope. But in that maintaining hope, he takes his autistic cousin, his heavily autistic cousin, who relies on him for support, and he essentially uses him to his own gain and to fulfill his own conspiracy theories, and essentially renders the both of them unable to really reach across the aisle and meet each other and really be able to connect and to forge a life together. It's a really heartbreaking portrayal of the film when you think about it. So much of Aidan Delbis's character relies on a absolute faith in Jesse Plemons' character. Yet, despite that, Delbis continues to push Jesse Plemons on whether he is correct, on whether he is telling the truth, on whether he believes what he is saying, and whether or not what he's doing is correct and is morally just. The relationship between those two characters is really touching, but also heartbreaking because you can see Delbis try and reach out. He is the heart of this film. He will go under the radar, but this guy is 19. This is his first acting role outside of high school stage plays. Give him his love. This guy is incredible in this film. I really enjoyed him. This is probably the most subdued film in the first two acts that I feel like Yorgos Lanthimos has done in a while, probably ever. I was somewhat dismayed by that. I felt like this was going to be quite straight, and then we hit that final third act, and I was like, oh no, this is fucking crazy. And it really goes for something in that final act. I don't think there is much special going on here, I have to be honest. Just when I'm relating to things like Killing of the Sacred Deer or Poor Things, I think that those films are a lot more impressive, camera-wise, and particularly with Poor Things, with sets and all those sorts of things. But there's nothing bad here necessarily. I just don't know if I'm particularly wowed by it. Lanthimos brings that trademark absurdity still. He brings a lot of beauty and texture to his camera work, and it's still good. It just also kind of probably signals what Lanthimos has been talking about, which is that he needs a break. He's probably pushed himself to his absolute limits, and I'm all right with that. Off the back of Poor Things, a lot of directors would have looked at that and gone, oh, I didn't get Best Director, I didn't get Best Picture, I'm going to push it further, and I'm just going to sort of stick with this sort of thing, and I'm going to pursue that. And I really appreciate that with Kinds of Kindness and Bugonia, he hasn't really done that. Bugonia is a Best Picture contender, but I don't really think it has the scale of a Best Picture right now. It doesn't have an Oppenheimer, it doesn't have an Everything Everywhere All at Once. It doesn't even really have an Anora, and I really appreciate that from a trademark art house director, that they can look at their career and go, well, I can go for a Best Picture, and I can pursue what I think I'm rightfully owed, and what a lot of art house fans and insiders also probably believe he is deserved. Or I can stay true to what it is that I make, and I can pursue that farther. The one area where I do think the film kind of falls a bit flat is that some of the film feels a bit underwritten. Some of the relationships aren't really explained fully. Stavros Halkias is in this film. He's not really given as much screen time as he probably does to explain his dynamic with Jesse Plemons' character. There is also a reality. There is also the fact that I don't really understand what it is about Jesse Plemons' intentions that he's driving at, and what exactly he wants from the situation. Through a lot of Jesse Plemons' performance, able to garner that, it's kind of a bit murky about his intentions, and it could be written better. And for a film that is a Best Picture contender, I think you probably need to be written better than the film is in those areas. But overall, this is a really funny film. This is a really well-acted film. It has a stalwart veteran in Emma Stone who has been here, done it again, and is just continuing to do it. It has Jesse Plemons, who is a Best Actor frontrunner, I would say. Then you have the breakout star in Aidan Delbis, even probably Stavros Halkias, who is a well-known comedian but isn't an actor. And it's well directed, but it's not uniquely Yorgos Lanthimos. It lacks a staple, I would say, of his directing that it always has. It has a uniqueness that I'm not really sure what this film has about it that is unique from every other Yorgos Lanthimos film. And then the writing kind of is a bit lackluster, but I also will say that the dialogue between the characters is absolutely black comedy, funny to its absolute best. When you know that a character is gonna do something and you go, that's not gonna work, or when a character is saying something that is point blank serious, but you know that it's kind of absurd, and Lanthimos has that in his locker, that he's able to make his characters and actors say something with a complete seriousness about what they're saying, but deliver it to the audience where you're able to go, this is absurd, what they're saying is absurd, yet what they are saying they believe to be completely true. And it's that dynamic, that duality in the writing and the acting that makes things in his films absolutely hilarious. Probably not a Best Picture contender, seriously. Probably a bit of a dark horse. If it won Best Picture, I would be up for it. I really like Lanthimos. I really like Emma Stone. I really like Jesse Plemons. But I don't think it's going to beat out Hamnet. I don't think it's going to beat out One Battle After Another. But overall, an absolute fucking blast of a film. I really enjoyed this. I would really recommend this.